The drive hasn't been to make money. The drive has been to help people. We've always put that foot forward. People could sense that and feel it in the way that we weren't hard selling, we weren't pushy. And that helped with that value proposition. People were willing to pay us something that they really wanted that was more than what it was costing us, which was creating more revenue and more profits.
Hello and welcome to today's episode of Pivot to Profit. Our amazing guest today is Jeff Sands. Jeff, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Amazing. Let me officially introduce you. Jeff Sands is a serial entrepreneur, investor, and co-founder of Glow Natural Wellness and Glow Investment Group, a former Marine Corps officer. Jeff's passion now is helping business owners scale profitably through strategic investment, operational excellence, and marketing innovation. His mission is to grow businesses that do good and do well. I love that. Amazing. Super excited to have you share your profit story with us. Before I dive into questions, look, business owner, founder, if you're out there and you're not sure where your finances are, don't know where your money is, waking up in the middle of the night trying to figure out how you're going to make that next payroll, we would love to help you at Pivot Business Group. Just go to pamjordan.com and book a call with my team. All right, Jeff, are you ready to dive in?
Yeah, let's go. Let's do it.
All right. What did little Jeff want to be when he grew up?
Little Jeff in high school wanted to be president of the United States someday.
I love it. And what were you taught about money as a kid?
Well, my family didn't have a lot of money as a kid, so I kind of had a weird relationship with it, right? My parents got divorced when I was young. Were raised by a single mom for the most part. So if we went to the store and we wanted to buy a toy, like we couldn't buy a toy, like I couldn't get like a GI Joe figure. It was definitely a scarcity mindset. I grew up in Vermont, like a very liberal state. So I think there was kind of this idea that having money was bad, or at least being rich is bad, right? Like we were the have-nots and there were haves. So I guess it was almost a non relationship with money, which we can go into it later, but it definitely had a huge impact on how I built wealth down the road.
Isn't that amazing how those things, that we learn in childhood about money frame who we are as we start our entrepreneur journey and who we are as a parent? Because I know you're a parent as well. You've got a son. So let's dive in. You were in the Marine Corps, so appreciate your service. That's a huge deal. But you were an officer. So where'd you go to college?
I went to University of Vermont.
Okay.
That's where I got my undergrad in political science, right? Because I wanted to be president. And then I joined the Marine Corps because I thought that that would be a good resume builder to be
Love
president.
How long were you in the military?
It was 4 years, but I went in 2000. So it was right before 9/11. So 9/11 happened and I knew, well, chances are I was going somewhere. And so I did end up deploying to Iraq. We actually deployed to Kuwait. So I was with 7th Marines Regiment, which staged along the Iraqi border before war was declared. And then we went all the way up to Baghdad. So, but I did 4 years active duty. And then there was like another 4 years you have to do inactive afterwards. But I just did my one tour. Never thought the war would last as long as it did, but it did.
So how did being an officer in the military shape you for the crazy world that is entrepreneurship?
Ooh, wow. When you join the Marines, you kind of have a higher calling, right? Like you have a purpose, especially as an officer. I mean, definitely enlisted too, but like when you go in as an officer, like you're going in with eyes wide open because you can leave at any point, right? Like it's completely voluntary. So I had a strong reason on why I was doing it. And that was a reason that I was willing to lay down my life for, right? So when I got out of the Marine Corps, it was very, very difficult to adjust to the corporate world. So I worked for home building industry for about 10 years, but I really struggled at it because, I mean, I did well. I was successful because I had the work ethics. I was good at problem solving. But when we'd get those company surveys where it was around scaling the company on integrity, trust, like all these like values, and coming from the Marine Corps, like those values were really ingrained in us. So to see a public company where the only thing that seemed to really matter was a fiduciary responsibility to the shareholders, it didn't seem like they really understood what like loyalty, like what those values were. And so eventually I just got sick of it. So like to answer your question, like how it shaped me is it made me want to do my own thing. Now,
Yeah.
initially, that wasn't building a business. Initially, that was just saying F it and leaving the corporate world and becoming nomads. But it really like kind of like this was a self-determination to just not not have to listen to somebody else, at least someone that didn't align with my values.
Yeah. I love it. And so when you left corporate, you and your now ex-wife went to Costa Rica for a season, which sounds, when you and I talk, that sounds like a pretty good time.
Yeah, yeah, it was great. I mean, we went to Costa Rica, we went to Mexico, we just kind of traveled around, went to Nicaragua, did like a couple weeks in Italy just for fun, for vacation, for a vacation from the vacation. Yeah, so we're nomads. It was fun. We figured out how to do it very inexpensively. What was kind of interesting about it was that when we originally left, like I had a lot of friends that had a lot of money. I had people that were telling me about their bonuses, how much money they were making, what they were going to do with it. And they were envious of me because I was just like, well, I'm just going to go sit on the beach and not worry about anything and not have anyone tell me what to do. And we did it like just on a shoestring budget. It was enjoyable, but it really gave us perspective. Like once we started the business, and I see this with business owners a lot that are in the rat race, that are chasing their tails, having that experience of being a nomad and not just being a nomad, but living the life that like everyone's trying to save up for to achieve someday, realize that even if everything goes to hell, like that was the fallback plan. Like if we lose everything, we'll go to Belize, we'll go to Costa Rica, right? So it gives you a very different perspective on running a business and building a business because there's so much fear that goes into losing everything or not doing good enough or not doing well enough, or the whole like kind of concept of success and what success is and comparing yourself to other people. Not to say we didn't end up creating our own rat race because we did, but we had that kind of like that perspective, which was really valuable for us.
So when you came back stateside, what made you decide to start Glow Natural Wellness? And did you bootstrap it? Did you get investors?
Well, what happened is she got pregnant and we kind of caved because we were like, oh, we're pregnant. Now we have a responsibility. And so now we got to be responsible people, right? So we caved and we came back to the building industry. But after a year of working back in the building industry and, having been a nomad, I couldn't have someone tell me what to do. I couldn't handle it. So I quit and they didn't want me to quit. So they said, well, will you work for us remotely? So we moved back to Vermont to be near family. And so I worked remotely for 6 months and Michelle had finished during that time, not the 6 months, but like kind of, when we were nomads and then the time I was back in the building industry, she had gone back to school and became a naturopathic physician. So she was now in the health space and she started helping people one-on-one virtually. And we saw there was something there. And she kept teaching the same thing. And she's like, this could be a membership site that we could charge a monthly rate for. And then it was really like, well, if we're going to do this, we got to be all in. Like, this can't be just like a part-time thing. And so I'm like, I'm going to quit my job that I'm working remote, like quit for real. They can't talk me into it. And we're going to go all in. And so that was what started it. That was like, we're rolling the dice here. We're going to do it. And we knew too that if we did that, it would force the results, right? We didn't have the safety net. So now we had to succeed.
Yeah, it's the whole burn the ships, right? Like you still have a W-2 paycheck coming in the door, you're not fully invested. But if you're hungry and you need food, you've got a family to help support, you'll make the one extra call, you do whatever it takes as to get this business going.
Yeah, yeah. And in the beginning, with the website went down, right? We were in the back, like figuring out what happened, like, what's going on with the hosting, or I was doing consultations with potential customers, right? I was a customer service guy. I mean, whatever you got to do to make it work, right?
Tell me about one of your initial financial wins with Glow Natural Wellness that you had, Jeff, where you're like, oh, this might actually work.
It took a while because I mean there were little wins, but the little wins were like just keeping your head above water. So it took like 5 years before where it was like the first 5 years like it was like, are we gonna make it? And that was when it was like we've created our own rat race. Like we went from being in someone else's rat race. Now we've manifested our own rat race. And we would talk about, remember back in the day when you could leave work at 5 or 6 p.m. and not think about work, or you'd have the weekend and you didn't have like that was someone else's problem. But as business owners, that's not the case. Like you're on 24/7. And if things aren't going well, like you're just kind of in a constant state of thinking about either things not going well or what problem you got to solve next. So it was like 5 years. There was a point though where I might have called it, and Michelle got two private clients, and she was charging more than they were $25,000 each, and that kind of floated us. And it was like, wow, like things would happen almost like being manifested, like they were somehow divine, like they would happen like just in time. And that kind of was like, oh, okay, yeah, like there's something more here. Someone's willing to pay that kind of money. But it wasn't until like after 5 years where we started doing the hormone replacement therapy. We already knew there was a demand in the market for what we were doing, but the hormone replacement and just all the thing around hormones and women's health was just it was so like just not being taught, not being understood, so much misinformation. And Michelle really wanted to change that. And so when we launched our own virtual hormone replacement therapy, bioidentical hormones, and had a team of, and it was a small team at first, but that could help customers virtually. And we started helping women balance their hormones, optimize their hormones. That's when things just like we saw like this, all the sales start coming in and they were reoccurring, and we're like, wow, like now this is something. And that's really when things took off and we really started building. We basically found like the real value proposition for the customer.
So once you found that thing that you guys enjoyed doing, clients wanted from you, that's when the financial wins, and you're like, this is gonna be amazing.
Yeah, yeah. And our like the thing is like we've always like for us, like the drive hasn't been to make money. The drive has been to help people. And so like we've always put that foot forward. And I think people could sense that and feel it in the way that we weren't hard selling, we weren't pushy, right? We really cared. And so I think that translated, and that helped with that value proposition. People were willing to pay us something that they really wanted that was more than what it was costing us, which was creating more revenue and more profits.
Once you started, the flywheel was spinning, the hockey stick was going up, all whatever term you want to use. How did keeping up with the financials of the business, how was that handled? Were you doing it yourselves? Were you outsourcing it? Like, how's the numbers play into all this?
Well, to be fair, I'm like a financial genius.
Love that.
Well, the thing was is like I don't know how many times I've seen businesses where it's one person trying to do it all, especially in the beginning. And it's really hard for one person to know everything. And with Michelle and I, we complemented each other really well. Like she was a physician, she's a brilliant formulator, she's great at marketing. And I was like operations, finances, like that was my expertise. And we were both really good at those. So I was a financial guy. I still am. Like I still in that company in the CFO capacity. Now we have tax advisors, wealth advisors, CPAs, accountants, and all that stuff. But like overall, like financial strategy is me still.
How has your mindset around money changed? From young Jeff, that there's haves and have nots, and I'm on the have not side of the fence, and to now running a very successful business, being the CFO of that. How has your money mindset evolved?
I've never bought expensive things. I mean, I'm not like living under a bridge, like I'm doing well, but I've never had an interest or desire to just like I don't know. Like, I mean, I wear the same clothes. Like, like I will buy jeans when there's holes in them. Like, there just isn't stuff that I want because like that materialism doesn't make me happy. But here's the thing. I realized I had a security issue around money, right? Like I needed more money, more wealth, bigger bank account, and not just money, but like in all the risk mitigation, whether that's insurance, whole life insurance, like whatever we were getting. Because for me, I kind of had this fear that everything was going to be lost. Like everything was too good to be true. And so I had to keep creating more safety nets to protect from when that time came where all came crumbling down. And I don't know all the psychology behind it, but I'm sure like growing up the way that I did, like not really being exposed to money, as we started getting money, I think it kind of scared me because it's like having money is bad. Now you're one of those haves that's taking from the have-nots, right? Like it's my obligation to make money only to give it to someone else. Now, I do have a strong, like, kind of passion to help people and to build wealth in order to help people. But that's different than the scarcity mindset, like being afraid of losing everything. And
Yeah.
so it took me a while to recognize that and break free from that. But that was a huge driving force in our ability to just drive more and more revenue and growth.
Yeah, just to have those safety nets. Because what if something happens? What if we can't make money? What if someone gets sick? All those things, just having that cash set up. So you've put yourself in a good financial position because now your main focus these days is Glow Investment Group. So tell us what that is.
Glow Investment Group. So Glow Natural Wellness, we built it to a point where we have departments, we have department heads. So we have the companies running autonomously for the most part. And Michelle is managing Glow Natural Wellness. So she's CEO of that, but it doesn't really need me. So I was like, okay, what am I going to do? And as I've learned more and more, like for Glow Natural Wellness, we have 55 employees, and I really was understanding how to use other people's labor to grow our wealth. What I'm understanding and learning better is how to use other people's capital to grow our wealth. And so I left Glow Natural Wellness for the most part, started an investment company called Glow Investment Group, where we're now seeking out and acquiring other businesses, primarily around the health space that have synergies that align with Glow Natural Wellness. But yeah, that's what I'm doing. So now I'm leveraging the bank's money to now acquire businesses, use the money that the business is making to pay back the debt we owe on it. We have additional financial headroom on top of that. So I'm creating income now with other people's money and labor
Yeah.
that is kind of materializing out of nowhere, essentially. I mean, it's not nowhere, but like last week I was down in Delray Beach because we just bought a med spa down there. So I was down there dealing with the transition, but it's like kind of a interesting experience to do this. But that's the whole idea. Like that's the whole idea. It's acquisitions. It's identifying successful business owners are selling for any number of reasons, going in, acquiring those, and then improving upon them, right? Like optimizing, improving upon them with what I know about business. Like with the med spa, we'll also be selling our products and programs there because it's our demographic. So that's going to increase the revenue, the lifetime value of those customers. So yeah, that's Glow Investment Group.
I love it. So how many acquisitions are you looking to do?
Well, for the med spas, we're trying to do 4 or 5 by the end of the year. But we're also looking at, and that's just to prove out a certain business model. And then we're going to start growing out from that, like doing 4 or 5 at a time. We are looking at some other stuff that's not med spa related. That's more around buying audiences, email lists, things that are demographic that we could monetize pretty quickly through Glow Natural Wellness. So yeah, that's the focus right now. So it's still new, right? We're still early on, but I've got a acquisitions consultant who is like brilliant. So he's coaching us through this. and he sees what we've done with Glow Natural Wellness. Like, I think you asked at one point about, kind of like how we financed it. Well, that was all bootstrapped. Like,
Yeah.
we've never taken investors. We've never taken any debt. We got on Inc. 5000 last year and this year. So he sees what we've accomplished, and the banks like what we've accomplished. And so he can see the vision better than I can because he's been doing this for 30 years, but it's exciting because we know how to do it. And it's so much easier than the grind of building a business where you could come in and acquire a business that's already got to 7 figures and just take it over.
Yeah.
Although I would advise doing that if you already have business knowledge, not like to be the starting.
Not coming in clean. Right. So personally, we have a lot of clients in the med spa space at Pivot Business Group. And some of those do want to exit. So help educate us on when it comes to the financials of a business. What are you looking for in due diligence? What are you looking for in the numbers to say, yes, this is a good business for us to purchase? Because a lot of people just focus on sales and aren't focusing on profitability. So in your due diligence, what are you looking for in a company to decide, is this a good purchase for an acquisition?
So we're looking at things like the debt to cash ratio. We're looking at the cash balance. And then we're looking at, when we finance it with the loan, how much financial headroom we have left over. So say if it's a business, maybe they're doing $900,000 in revenue. Maybe they're selling for like 1.2. They might have a net profit of 450,000. And I don't know if these numbers are accurate at all, but say it costs us $200,000 a year to finance that debt. Then we have $250,000 in financial headroom after that, right? Like after we've paid off the debt. So if we did 4 of those, now we've added maybe a total revenue of maybe $5 or $6 million with a EBITDA of, I don't know, maybe 2.5, 2 million maybe, and then financial headroom of around $1 million that I've just created. I've added $1 million in my income in 5 or 6 months using someone else's capital.
Yeah. And those businesses who are cash flowing and making money and servicing clients, that cash is servicing the debt. And so it's not coming out of your pocket to service that debt.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's, the first question I would ask is, why are they selling? And it is the first question I do typically ask. But yeah, a lot of people, they don't want to run a business. They're not good at running a business. In the med spa space, I found a lot of women that they like doing the treatments. That's why they got into the business, but they don't want to manage it. And then you have your divorce and moving, retiring. I mean, there's all kinds of reasons. But yeah, you'd be amazed that the businesses like can get to 7 figures and they've done all the hard work. They're profitable, and then they're like, yeah, we're ready to get out. And I'm like,
I'm tired. Like it's kind of, I see this in entrepreneurs. It's kind of like a check the box, right? Like I had an idea because there was a problem in the market. I solved it, and now I want to go build something else.
yeah.
Jeff, what is next for you? What's on the horizon? Where's your focus?
I'm interested in helping other business owners. I'm not passionate about the investment stuff. It's not like my drive. Because like I said, my drive isn't making money, but what that is doing is it's forcing me to create situations where other people manage stuff for me, right? So building a team that's autonomous that can accomplish the objectives, which should really be the goal of any business owner anyway, right? Like you really want to get to a point where you're an investor owner, not an investor operator. And your business is going to be more valuable if you're not having to be a critical part of it. But my passion is really about helping other people learn how to build a business with a purpose, right? Because that's been our drive. And I think you're seeing that even with consumers that are more interested in purchasing from businesses with a purpose. But the thing is it aligns more with your own values, right? So instead of building a business because you are trying to compare yourself to somebody else, or you just want to be seen as successful, I think it's a better motivation to build a business because you're doing something that you're passionate about. And then that's going to light you up. That's going to give you more energy instead of drain you of energy and you having to just do the grind every day. Because like ultimately, what's the goal, right? The goal is happiness. That's what we're all trying to achieve. A lot of us are kind of confused because we think that we need more money to achieve happiness, but you're waiting for something that's in the future and you don't know if that's what it's going to accomplish. Whereas if you're putting your focus more around building something that is aligned with your purpose, then what you're doing in the moment is creating happiness. And that's the objective. So I'm kind of the mind where if following that path towards happiness, like what lights you up, what brings you purpose, if that doesn't actually create more wealth, well, you're better off because you're happy, right?
Yeah.
But I think too, like if you have more energy and you're following your purpose, that's going to create more wealth. So it's almost like you have to create a detachment from wealth in order to accumulate more wealth.
Yeah, and that wealth is not just for your gain, it's for the impact of others. Because I know that you're
Yeah.
also think bigger and recently went on a trip and helped people down in Peru and those sorts of things. So, but it's out of the wealth that you're building that you're able to have that impact and build that legacy for others and help people because you can't help people out of scarcity.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's an amazing thing. And I believe like, the universe or source or consciousness or whatever it is, like it's going to allow you to build more wealth. Like it's going to want you to have more wealth because you're doing better things with it.
I love it. I love it. Jeff, this has been amazing. Let me shoot you some rapid response questions. So don't explain, just answer. Are you ready?
Okay.
No pressure. It's going to be fine. Profit or growth? Which one matters the most to you?
Profit.
What's one business expense you'll never cut, no matter what?
My salary.
What's the best money advice you've ever received?
I think that was maybe Garrett Gunderson, just reading his book. And it was around like, creating a business, like understanding the value proposition, like creating something with value.
Okay. If you had to start over today, what's the first thing you'd do differently with your finances?
I'd give it all away, just become a nomad again.
Okay.
If I didn't have a 10-year-old son, it might be what I would do right now. Hiking, backpacking through Central America.
Sounds like
I
fun.
know it's not great wealth advice, but you wanted honest answers.
So, what does financial freedom mean to you? What does success mean?
Financial freedom's relative. Like we had that nomad experience, and I deal with this with people that want my advice or coaching is that they're living in a situation where they're trying to accomplish an ends and they're not thinking about the means. Whereas like you could go like again like down to Belize or something like Central America and it's fairly inexpensive. You can live a better life for a lot less money. So financial freedom starts becoming relative depending on your flexibility. One of the things I love is like at the beginning of Life of Pi, I tell everybody this, but like when the author goes and the guy he's writing a story about asks why he's in India, and he said because that's where I can afford to write. Right, his passion was writing, was being an author, and so he went to where he could do his passion instead of like living in the city with expensive things and trying to look a certain way. That becomes a lot more expensive, and it starts taking you away from what your passion is because now you're in that scarcity mindset, right? I don't know if that answered the question.
No, it did. I appreciate it. Well, Jeff, this has been amazing. Thank you for sharing your profit story with us. Where can people connect with you?
I don't have any quick tags or anything. I'm working on that. They can go to glowinvestmentgroup.com.
Thank you so much, Jeff. For our listeners out there, if you need help understanding your numbers, want to increase your profit and reduce your taxes, just connect with my team at pamjordan.com. And remember, it's not what you make that matters, it's what you keep.